Hello, voting members to the 2025 Synod Assembly. I'm Bishop Barbins, and I'm so glad that you are interested enough in the goings-on of the Assembly to take less than 10 minutes to learn a little bit about parliamentary procedure. Now, this procedure was developed so that people in large groups can take and have order and get important debates and business conducted without it taking 5 days. It's also not something with which everyone is familiar. So we have put together this short video to help with some of the basic functions of parliamentary procedure. I invite you to have in front of you the voting information that is available on the Assembly materials page on our website. The URL for those materials is across the bottom of your screen. In a moment, our parliamentarian, Mr. John Sleasman, will reference these charts and instructions, and you might find it helpful to have them in front of you. I invite you to go ahead and pause the video, and maybe you can even get my face to freeze in a really funny face. I now turn it over to Mr. Sleasman.
If you look at the two charts on parliamentary procedure, you will see several motions that are shaded in yellow with the word yes inside the box, in a column that is headed interrupt ? I want to focus generally on those for a moment because these are motions that are considered privileged in terms of being able to be recognized, and these are the motions that when you watch the other material on how to gain recognition, you will find that ought to be identified in the Zoom chat entries with an asterisk in front of them so that the people that are monitoring the recognition area can identify that these are privileged motions that should be separately identified. On page 5 in particular, there are two motions. Ranking raise a question of privilege, more likely to happen in a physical assembly where you have issues such as, can the air conditioning be turned up or down? The lighting is not good. Microphones aren't working, speakers aren't working, whatever. Those types of questions, however, could still come up in a remote meeting, and those motions could be very important. I would note, however, that if it's a matter of something like sound, you should probably try to determine if it's sound on your particular connection, which is something that should go to the help desk and not really come to the parliamentary area, because you'll get a better and faster response through the help desk. Look at the material elsewhere in the pre-assembly for more discussion about that. The second motion that shows up on that side is call for the orders of the day. Again, this is something that hopefully, with the number of people at the Night Center and the chair trying to watch it, should not need to be raised, but it's very important that if we do lose track, that it is pointed out to the leadership. Call for the orders of the day occurs when a particular topic was scheduled to happen at a particular time, but because other business has taken longer than we thought, we've reached that point in time where we need to actually move on to this particular topic. So again, this could be one that's very important if it needs to be made. The priority motions that are most likely to be made are on page 6, the non-ranking motion side. All of those motions identify issues that basically means that you or other people in the assembly have not received adequate explanation of why we are doing things or what's going on. Consider some of them. A parliamentary inquiry is a request for explanation and clarification of the particular procedure and parliamentary rules that are being used, or issues with citations from the governing documents or the special rules of procedure. A point of information is basically a formal way of saying there's not enough context here, that I don't understand what the question is, or perhaps you're using some obscure language that I don't understand, so I don't exactly know what we're voting on. It's basically a fancy term for a request for a little more explanation. Another one that occurs is a point of order, which is a suggestion that the chair is not following or has not followed the rules. Hopefully this won't happen because it will be caught, but if it by some chance does occur, it, like all these others, are very important that they do get submitted and a request for priority recognition be made, so that we are sure that before things move along toward a possible vote, that everybody does know exactly what they're voting on and why it is appropriate. So again, review that. Review in the other video how to gain recognition for priority motion, and we will move on from there. On both charts, the other motions are fairly typical, and those charts are there and will be used much the way as they have at other meetings in the past. There is a ranking of what you can do when, and that doesn't really change. As always, things start with a simple motion, which, depending on whether it comes from an official committee or the Senate Council, may not need a second from the floor. If it does come from an individual, it will need a second. Once a motion is on there, discussion starts and moves back and forth. It may need to be, or there may be a suggestion for an amendment. An amendment gets made, it's seconded, gets debated, gets disposed of either by being accepted or rejected, and discussion moves back to the main motion. This will continue the way in the remote assembly that it always has in a physical assembly. So no changes there. We're still following the same procedures and so forth.
I am so very thankful for the years of service that Mr. Sleasman has given to us as our parliamentarian for Senate assemblies. This is his last time in this capacity. So I will take this moment to say that if you geek out on parliamentary procedure and all of this is so very fascinating to you, perhaps you'd like to fill this role next year. If so, please feel free to let me know. There are other videos available to help orient you to our online assembly this year, so please do take some time to check those out as well. At any point in time, if you have tech questions now through the end of assembly, please email assembly@neos-elca.org. It's right here, and your Senate staff will be happy to assist you. See you at the assembly.